We've come to a club whose academy's been described by Big Phil Scolari and the former Argentina coach Jose Peckerman as among the best in the world. It's not surprising when you consider the calibre of players they've produced. Ajax in Holland is often held up as the model for youth development in football. 10 graduates from their academy featured in last summer's World Cup, a record only equalled by Sporting Lisbon. Sporting Lisbon have the most well-equipped academy in Europe, with all the facilities designed to meet the needs of the 250 boys here. The club prize one quality in the youngsters they recruit above all others.
The main thing is how skillful is this boy with the ball. How fast can he do things with the ball? That's the main important thing. It's not so important how tall he is, how strong he is with 11 or 12 years old. So we concentrate very much on that basic interaction with the ball.
De resto, eu penso que tanto quanto sei.
I think in England you worry too much about the tactical side of the game and not so much about the technical side of the player's development. Here, one of the aspects we stress is the optimum relationship with the ball. We worry a lot about that aspect, and I fear you overlook that side.
In Portugal, we still have space in terms of the daily life activities of a boy that allows him to practice football in the young ages in a very free way, in a way where they can develop the basic skills. I don't know what is the situation on that respect in England, but I suppose that in the center of London should be difficult.
Foi sempre muito importante jogar com os meus amigos.
It was very important to play with my friends on the fields, in the streets. We were always learning something. We played for pure pleasure, to entertain ourselves. We learnt a lot in that period of our lives. We learnt things that we carried with us into professional football.
On the streets you don't have rules, and we can do what we want, what we like, and we try to do like Ronaldo, like Quaresma, and we improve our skills and our technique on the street.
In the academies in Portugal, they just follow what the kids have learned in the streets, and they just improve those skills.
Damian Comolli joined Tottenham 18 months ago as their sporting director. His wide experience of youth development on the continent makes him the ideal person to improve coaching for the club's young players.
Now, I don't think the English players are worse than the players on the continent. I think there is one big problem here, is how many times per week a player touches the ball. And the way the academies are structured here, unfortunately not enough time. In any club on the continent, or let's say in clubs that are focused on youth development, if you take a player who is going to train 12 hours a week, for 12 hours he's going to be on the ball for about 10 hours. If you take a normal academy in England, the player will be on the ball between 2 and 3 sessions per week, so it's already half of it, and maybe he'll be on the ball for 2 hours.
So is the academy system in this country really in crisis, or is it all a bit of an hysterical overreaction? We've come to one Premiership club who, over the last 10 years, have produced 21 first-teamers from their academy, including 3 England internationals.
I've been to tournaments now since I've been in the job around Europe, and I don't see our boys technically inferior to foreign players. Yes, we may in the past have lacked technique, but when you speak to people about football, they refer to the great players of all, the Stanley Matthews, the George Best, the Tom Finneys and so on, who were fantastic players. So people have got talent. What we've got to do over here is identify it and work with it. I don't see anything wrong with the system at all. I think that, you know, we've proved it here, other clubs have proved it, that if you work hard and you work with your local boys and you give them the opportunity, then you are going to produce players for your first team. There is absolutely no doubt at all about that, and I don't see any reason at all why we shouldn't continue to do that in the foreseeable future here.
Sporting Lisbon have an extensive scouting network across the whole of Portugal. They aren't hampered by the rule in England that means academies can only take players who live within 90 minutes of the club.
The situation in England for clubs in terms of the restrictions in terms of recruiting young players are quite tough, and I think it can difficult a little bit the access to the players. If for instance, if I imagine that in Portugal Sporting could not be able to recruit a boy from the north of the country, then it will be a problem for us.
I don't think it's a particular restriction. I mean, when you look at it, the idea of the academies was to actually put good coaches in place, recruit from local areas, stop boys being trolling up and down the country for boys and having them travelling endless hours to play. The idea was to work with your own local youngsters, get them through for your own club, and of course improve the game nationally. So that was the philosophy behind it.
And accelerate. Tottenham have moved quickly to address the skills gap. They've appointed a specialist skills coach who works with all the age groups from under 8s to the first team.
England always produced fantastic footballers, always. And here, everywhere, and that's why England has still a big future. The only criticism I have, it's all average. In the past you see more types who express themselves. You saw the playmakers, you saw the wingers, you saw the strikers, and now it's all flat. So I think you must improve the individual qualities and also create the types, the different types.
Spurs have had fantastic runs in cup competitions and in Europe this season. Is that a direct result of having skills trainers on board?
No. But if you ask me, is the way we work now is helping us to have 5 England players in the under-16 national team? Definitely.
We're 8 years into a very new structure in terms of how we practice and how we develop our young players. Of course it's in its infancy yet. I don't judge anything yet until you put another 10 years on it.
You sense that England is catching up?
I think England is catching up. I think there are more and more clubs putting emphasis on working on technique and really developing the kids as they should do. But I also think that as clubs we need more flexibility, and we need in the rules, as you mentioned, the 90-minute rule, and we definitely need to put to have more time with